Same old background, Dr. Kimberly.
No, oh, for me.
Yes.
Well, I'll have to get creative. I have backgrounds actually on my iPad, but I haven't set them up on the laptop, so.
Yeah, maybe not the highest priority use of time.
No, but amusing nonetheless. While we're waiting for the meeting to start, thanks for the input and sending the stuff to Jeremy. I think that graph of the CNRs was very helpful.
Yeah, well, that's everything we went over in the meeting, so I was just sort of doing notes and typing it up for everybody, but
Good.
I tried to pull it together so it'd be easy for him to understand without spending too much time.
Good. And some of the administrative stuff that was in an email thread yesterday, I've reached out to try to find out what's happening in rheumatology.
Okay.
Where I think those things are housed. As I learn, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I had no idea, but.
Neither did I, obviously. I'm not deeply concerned. I'm sure it will all get sorted out.
Yep. All good.
Yeah, it's nice you'll be able to join us for this.
Welcome, everybody. People are still joining, so we're going to wait another minute or so before getting started.
Thank you, Amy.
I can't speak for everyone else, but I have Zoom goals now that I see the picture aligned with Devin Cole's account.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment. I assume no Photoshop was used, only real dogs. Yeah, that Devin Cole's dog is definitely one of the high points of the Hackathon Zoom.
The best part was I was on a call with a guy from the UK, and he said, "You have a cute little doggy." It was great.
Very endearing.
Indeed.
All right, let's open it up. I'm going to share my screen just to show the agenda. Okay. Okay. Welcome to the award ceremony for the UAB COVID-19 Hackathon, Data Science Hackathon. Having a little bit of flickering here. Thank you everybody for participating. I'm going to have some opening remarks first with Jake Chen. Then I'll give an overview of how we got here and what we did. Then we're going to have some time for reflections from key stakeholders on the impact of the hackathon on them. And then we're going to have the part everybody's been waiting for, which is the presentation of awards. And then we'll have a closing. So I will turn it over to Jake Chen so he can give his opening remarks.
But if you want to hear about the outcome from me, you'll be disappointed because I only saw the final candidate and I don't know who are the winners. The winners will be announced at the end of today's 1 hour by Dr. Wang. But what I can assure you is that the entire process of judging reflects a lot of the intellectual input of the judges, hard work, and careful discussions between the judges and the steering committees on what criteria to use. So I can only assure you that whatever is the outcome reflect a fair standard and adherence to the principle that we all abide by. That's scientific rigor, impacts, good presentation, and so on. So let's hold the enthusiasm, but I would like to first thank all the organizers, especially Amy, throughout the Data Science Hackathon. She has worked tirelessly in the past months, keeping things organized, keeping the experts, different sponsors, students, all motivated to the point that we can celebrate today. And let's give her a round of applause to show our appreciation.
Woo! Yay!
And also, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to our sponsors. One of the major sponsors is the UAB Informatics Institute. And also our sponsor from UAB CCTS, and then also the lab, AI.Med lab. Let's give them a round of applause. So we will have a representative from various stakeholders, sponsors throughout this hour, so they can give some of the messages to the entire participant today. And you will hear that directly from them, and I'll save you from that. And also, I would like to also thank those people who work behind the scenes, especially my team that make the infrastructure support flawless. That include Matt White, if he's here. Also Jeff Gordon, who are responsible together with Matt on getting the COVID-19 clinical data set ready. July Wang, who is working on the U-BRITE infrastructure to make sure that everyone get a very good tutorial and sneak preview. Faculty such as Alex and Malay, who have taught our students beforehand and prepared students with the data science skills before coming to the hackathon. student leaders such as Tyrone, T, Eric, and many people in the knowledge curation team who have worked in the darkest hours of the COVID-19, but finding that data science knowledge curation was something that they could do. And that also just is an inspiration why we're doing this hackathon as a step forward from the knowledge curation. And also Heather and Nafisa, who have worked on our website. Let's give all of these people a round of applause for our appreciation. And then I also have some personal messages to share. And I just have 3 slides, and hopefully I can just talk about them before we move on to the next agenda. So I'm hoping that you can see my slides. So I'm doing some personal reflections. In a sense, I coined this hackathon. It can be called a data science hackathon, but in a sense, we're also doing data-driven medicine. If some of you remember my talk back in March, when the COVID-19 was just starting to get spread, and I read the literature and figured out this is really representing a unique opportunity for all of us in the School of Medicine. And the COVID-19 is a disease that is a relatively new disease. It has some similarity with the past coronavirus or pandemic flu, but it really has its own distinct characteristics. And it's so new and so multidisciplinary that a lot of the traditional expert may not know so much about this. So this, in my March talk, I think that it poses a new opportunity for newcomers, for people who are fresh-minded, and the trainees like yourself, who are participants of the hackathon, to really make a difference through integration of data, cleaning of the data, and using artificial intelligence tools to fight the battle against the COVID-19. So I think I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, none of us, except for Bob and a few clinicians, are fighting in the front line, but most of us are fighting in the back. Are we even relevant? I think that we can be relevant by first becoming a code breaker. If you think about it, in World War II, and there are soldiers fighting in the front line against the Nazis, but there are also computer scientists such as Alan Turing, who came out with mathematical theories and working on the mechanical machines, prototype computers that actually can collect the information from enemies' telegraph transmissions and convert them into useful information that you can use in the battlefield. This is very much analogous to what we're doing at the hackathon. In the hackathon, we're really working on getting the information and looking at each information source, such as clinical information, viral genome, functional genomics, try to figure out whether they have anything to do with our ability to treat the patient, to diagnose the patient early if they were to evolve into severe diseases. So in a sense, we're training each one of you to become a code breaker. So congratulations if you have done the great work that will make into the final prizes today. And also, I think even if you think that you're fighting on the very, very front line, like some of the team are figuring out the risk factors, I think the second message at least I get for myself is you really want to become an equipped soldier. It's different from fighting a war 1,000 years ago. You only have the arrows to shoot. But today's soldier, you have all kinds of gears. You have night vision cameras, you have headgear, you have gloves, and surgical bracelets, and all kinds of things that will help you. And we should really congratulate UAB, CCTS, and Informatic Institute for putting these gears into the hands of average students, trainees. Like tools like GitLab, tools like the softwares and the data sets that really put these information that would normally be in the hands of most advanced decision makers, even 40 years ago, into your hand. So you can become very much knowledgeable, informed soldier and fighting the war. And the third part, I was thinking, what makes a difference that one team may actually outcompete another? And it's ultimately is the people, and it's the people's idea. Some of the team may have very good technology, but then they could be considered marginally boring, in my opinion. But I'm not saying that could be my team. But a lot of the team really ask very profound, even disturbing scientific questions, like are there differences in race that contribute to the severity of the disease? Is that purely a social determinant of the disease, or are there any genetic basis or comorbidity basis? Things that are controversial from the traditional literature could actually become a really windfall for later scientific discovery. And I hope that this person actually, Craig Venter, was such a person, and he used a shotgun approach and make himself a company, Celera, that almost finished the human genome together at the same time of the Human Genome Project organized by the government. So I think the moral of the lesson is there's going to be more and more opportunities for people like yourself to fight this data-driven medicine and maybe be able to do better than some of the research lab at UAB. I hope that you bring that enthusiasm with you even after the data science hackathon. And I'll conclude with this final slides to say that there are also future opportunities if you want to do more of this. One is that UAB, led by the Informatic Institute and CCTS, we're participating in the National N3C project. And that National N3C project is for COVID-19 participants. There are probably about 50 of them in the nation now, to contribute clinical data and use a national platform to analyze this data in a much grander scale. So if some of you are interested, please contact me, Matt Might, myself, Jim Semino. We're actually working together. We're recruiting actively students. And also we are working with Hassan Alpha, the Genome Medicine Institute here at UAB, to just branch out the AGHI, Alabama Genome Health Initiative, to include a deep sequencing data of the severe COVID-19 patient. And we've got the IRB protocol cleared, and there will be additional data, both at the host genome level and the viral genome level. If you're interested, please, again, contact me and I can redirect you. Another thing is I mentioned that for the winners, you will be invited to actually submit a special invited talk for a presentation at the 19th BioKDD workshop in August. It was supposed to be in the beautiful San Diego, but it will be moved to online. So this is an opportunity if you actually get invited, especially by me and Professor Yenda from computer science, you can actually talk about your work at the national scale. But there will be maybe some additional peer review involved. And also I'm organizing a special issue on frontiers and artificial intelligence with a special topic of COVID-19. People who are everyone, and you're welcome to contact me and maybe submit an article if you think that you can move on to the next stage. But more importantly, even in my own lab, AI.MATLab, we're very much open for any of the data science participant trainees. If you want to get additional training, you're welcome to do rotations. We have funding for postdocs and the trainees. We not only fight against COVID-19, we also would be interested in using this to fight against diseases such as cancer. And with that, I'm gonna give it back to Amy. Thank you.
Thanks for that wonderful introduction, Jake. So I'll jump right into it because we have a lot of ground to cover and because it's a really important story to tell. I always like telling stories, and this story is a little bit like the Star Wars series. That it's, you know, it starts in the middle of the story, and then later on you find out, you know, the backstory, and then you find out what happens at the end. And of course, it's not really the end because it's going to keep continuing. It's a continuing story. So also I'm going to talk kind of fast because I talk fast, and yeah. Okay, so this is the ceremony, and okay, so why have a hackathon? What's a hackathon? Some people don't know what that means. It's a hacking marathon, so an intensive collaboration for software development. So you have all kinds of people come together and create something to advance knowledge, to collaborate, to innovate, and also it's in the literature. It's been used in health and biomedical research, and they even have best practices for this. And this is a picture from a hackathon in the Informatics Institute that we did earlier. SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19. These topics don't need any introduction. We know how serious these are. So just a shot here of the virus, a rendering of the virus that causes it, and some of the dreaded complications that we have. And according to the WHO, there's no vaccine, specific treatments, and there's a lot of disparities in the transmission, progression, and outcomes. So it's on everybody's mind right now. And and then the pandemic, of course, it's spread to the entire world now, and it's just changed how we do life, probably in more than a century. It's just changing everything about our life, the fact that we even are meeting in this format. So almost 10,000 cases, 10 million cases, and 500,000 deaths, and this is, I told this last night. Okay, now going back to some of the pre-story. So U-BRITE is an infrastructure for accelerating data-intensive translational science in the Informatics Institute. So the vision was to bring inspiration and innovation on biomedical data mining to every aspiring team at UAB. We wanted to do whatever we could to make it easy and fun and simple for people to use data, all kinds of data at UAB and anywhere worldwide to advance medical knowledge. So we have all these silos and different sources of data that are really all over the place. And if you don't know where to get them, you can't get them, and it's hard to get them together. So all the people and stakeholders and researchers that are using this data have a hard time getting it all together. So our vision was, well, what if we could have all these things in one place? So you don't have to go hunting for them, and you don't have to worry about storing and managing and where to find them. And you can see what other people have done too. You could learn from that. So U-BRITE is what we came up with, and so we have the main components. This was presented at U-BRITE Day when we 2 years ago in 2018. So we have the data portal, so you can request that you want to put some data there. You can find data that we have already put there, publicly available things that would be of interest. And then the analysis gateway, so we have the tools and platforms and the high performance computing for you to do analysis of that data. And then the expo gallery, so it gives you a chance to publish what you've done and share things and have dashboards. And so you can see, so you can make use of that, best use of that data and share. So this is our current U-BRITE homepage. And as you can see, we have a lot of managed files, pipelines, projects, and users, and this number continues to grow. So we started out in 2018 with 4 pilot projects. We didn't even know if this thing was going to work. So we invited teams of researchers, and these are just the heads of these teams and the PIs, and they had large teams of people, and these are some of the work that they did. So we got to a point where we thought, well, there's these four silos going on, and it's hard to get everything together. We want to get everybody in the same room. So some of us have had background in industry where we do hackathons. So we thought, well, let's do a hackathon. Let's just do that. and give everybody in a room, give them lots of food, and help them innovate. So we had our pilot project, we had our pilot hackathon in 2018. And these are some of the photos that we took from that, and it was quite a success, and we really felt like we advanced the knowledge a lot. Had everybody in the same room, all the teams, many of the teams had the same problems. So we have really increased the use of U-BRITE since that time, and we have a research submission about this work that we did too. How can we encourage team science and across the translational spectrum and use all these infrastructures? So, and a lot of the feedback from the participants of the whole U-BRITE was that the hackathon was a significant factor in the project's success. And we scheduled it towards the end. We were trying to push us to get to the finish line. But the feedback was that if we had scheduled it earlier, we could have addressed some of these problems earlier and probably saved ourselves a lot of additional frustration. So now we're in a really difficult time, and we have the greatest challenge of our generation, really. So we have the virus, we have the terrible diseases that it caused, and the pandemic. So we thought, this U-BRITE is a perfect example of how to apply all these things and help address this international crisis. So we thought, well, let's have a hackathon, because this is a way to advance knowledge, get everybody in the same room. So we had to plan and organize. We had the steering committee. Lots of mentors agreed to help people, give domain experts. People needed to judge the competition, and we need a lot of people to support the whole infrastructure and logistics. And then, of course, the participants. We want the participants and the teams to actually make this thing work. And then lots of, can't have time to go into all this detail, but so there's all these things that we had to do to get ready for it. It's almost like planning a convention. And communication especially, because we were trying to do what we did before, but all those lovely pictures can't be duplicated now because we have to be virtual. We can't get together because of the crisis we're trying to solve. So we have all these ways to try to communicate. So it was 3 days. We had one for boot camp to help people get ready, and 2 days for the actual hackathon. There were 38 participants. We had over 190 people that signed up, but some of those were people who ended up not being able to go. There were mentors and people who just wanted to watch. So there were 10 teams and projects, 9 steering committee members, 16 mentors, and 9 judges. So just quickly what the teams did. So team one did a game simulation. I'm sorry, I can't show this, but the names of the team members. But so I'm just going to go through really quickly to show what some of the teams did. So team 2, so these are the photos. It won't be the same photos like before, but this is the way we do things now. So team 2 had a map that could show where it could be risky to travel, and also team 3 had county level social determinants of health. Team 4 had a way to help predict who is at greatest risk of COVID and the severe complications and bad outcomes. And Team 5 also had some another project that they did. I think this is and then so targets for certain drugs. Team 6 is a network-based model for simulating outbreaks, showing the different places and different locations. Team 8, they're not all in order because not all teams ultimately finished their projects, so that's why the teams are a little bit out of order, but we stuck to the names because that's how we thought of the teams. Team 8 is about predicting fatalities and spatial vulnerability in the United States. And so they're able to show the vulnerability, and even on a more granular level. Team 10, going from local patient sample data to a global strain source, able to show how different strains of the virus evolve over time. Team 12, there's Team 12, had to do with ancestry and how that affects how one's host response. And then Team 13 was about health and social disparities. So we had the initial prep team, and then we had the showcase. That was last week, in which everybody presented their work. So if it was a real hackathon, this would have been everybody presenting, giving their PowerPoints, and we did it virtually, and it was kind of nice to have everybody together in the same room. And then we did a survey afterwards to see, to find out how it went. So this is kind of like the table. If we were to publish this work, this would be the table 1. So the age. So there's interesting bimodal distribution, kind of mid-20s to mid-30s, and then another distribution, mid-40s to mid-50s. So maybe that reflects, trainees versus faculty and mentors. Gender was mostly male, but we had a good number of females too. Race and ethnicity, it was about half Asian, about a third white, and 16% were Black or African American. So whether someone was from a UAB or an outside organization, we originally wanted to be only for UAB, but other people found out about it, and it's virtual, so we can do that. There were some challenges to try to get external people set up, as it was mentioned, as in terms of the access and all the credentials and all that kind of stuff and the sharing of data. There were some challenges there, but that's something good for us to learn about. What kind of titles? So mostly students, which was our target, but a lot of faculty, scientists, programmer analysts as well. And people found out about it mostly through word of mouth, which is good, and then emails, our website, and the CCTS. And why did they join it? We were happy that the main reason was because people wanted to learn. That was one of the goals, even though, it's to solve a problem, but learning is the most important thing. And the networking and meeting people, obviously that's harder to do in this environment, and people want to address a crisis and have fun, so that's good. How many hackathons did they participate previously? This was the first for most people, a vast majority, but some people have participated in other ones and many before. And the level of readiness, some people were not prepared at all, a little and somewhat, and we wanted to help people with this. We knew that you weren't coming here being a seasoned veteran. And what about, how did you do with it, with your goals? So, people made some moderate, a lot of progress, achieved all of the goals, or they exceeded their expectations. The length was, some people said it was too long, some people, a larger number said too short, and the greatest number of people said it was just right. So hopefully we hit the mark there. And what did you like best about it was the networking and collaboration, solving an important problem, and learning and having fun. So that, to me, this is successful. And what did you dislike? It was a little challenging to get people together in teams, kind of long hours. The preparation was a bit tedious. We had a lot of technical difficulties, a lot of them about getting access to the data, getting tools to work. And a big one was the connectivity. People were constantly being dropped from the Zoom call and having to come back. And then they were unable to get the data that they wanted. What's the one word that describes the hackathon and outstanding experience? That, to me, that's good. I want to mention that we did this survey at the closing session at the very end of the showcase. So it was live, and we were able to show the results real time, which was kind of nice. So some feedback. Overall, it was enjoyable. It was great. It was a good opportunity to learn, work with teams, and that we want to do this again in the future. And then additionally, feedback from a faculty member this morning. This was someone not involved with the hackathon directly. Exciting projects that are worthy of publication. It just blew my mind. So that was good to hear. Some comments. There are technical challenges, but they're expected for these kinds of events, and it's not that unusual. It was difficult to collaborate with the non-UAB people because of credentials and access to data and all that. And first, we had breakout rooms so that everybody could have their own space to discuss their project. But in Zoom, it's really hard to switch people around. So basically, someone described me as being the air traffic controller to shuttle people to different rooms. But then if you make everybody a co-host, which is risky because you don't, Zoom bombing, but if you know who they all are, then it's easier to navigate between rooms as you would maybe in a real setting with different rooms. Suggestions and ideas for the future. People would like to be able to meet people in advance instead of meeting and then they have a hard time getting together in teams unless they already have a team. Single channels for communication, we had a lot, but each of them, so we had Zoom, Airtable, Microsoft Teams. Each one has a purpose. Earlier availability information, was all put together in a short time. More flexibility working with locations and access to technologies and sample data. I'd like to add another day, maybe have more days. So you could have half a day for the meeting and talking and the other half for hacking. So there's more time for things to soak in. And then another feedback was to follow up to help teams develop their projects further, perhaps for publication or grants. We don't want to have this just be the end all. So actually, I was going to present awards now, but I'm going to pause that because I think I had my slides a little bit out of order, because I want to, and I invited some people to share their experiences about the hackathon. So I'm going to do that now. So if you're on, let's see who's on. Is Hope? Actually, Bob Kimberly, who CCTS is one of our major sponsors. So it'd be nice to hear from you, and thanks for agreeing to do this. Be on the spot.
Well, thanks, Amy. I'd love to be able to say that I was an actual participant in the hackathon, and I think that would be a little bit disingenuous. But watching the efforts in the hackathon develop, listening to the presentations the other week when they happened, showing to ourselves what we can do, I found very exciting. And I'm very pleased that CCTS has been able to be part of this. And I look forward not only to future hackathons, but also the outcomes for this current hackathon. Thank you for inviting CCTS to be part of this activity.
Thanks for those wonderful comments. And now I'd like to invite, if you're on the call, let's see who's here. I know some people had some conflicts. Hope Gray, who was one of our team leaders. You're on mute.
All right. Sorry, it was slow. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you fine. I can't see your video though, but if you're having a slow connection, I don't know if you want to turn it on. Oh, there we go. Hi.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. I am Hope Gray. I'm a PhD student in Health Services Administration, and Dr. Wayne Young is my PI and mentor. So it was a wonderful experience for me to participate in this second hackathon. The first hackathon, I sat by and just watched, amazed at everyone else. And this time I was able to throw out my idea as a trainee, and people rallied around it. And to my amazement,
Hope, you might want to turn off your camera because I think that there's some bandwidth issues, but
okay.
I hear you fine.
Sure.
Yeah, the voice is breaking up a little bit.
Huh.
Okay, you can go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you. You can, I think you're muted. Well, maybe we can come back to Hope because she's having some audio problems, looks like. So how about, can we hear from Ralph Zotola? He's Director of Research Computing at UAB. Ralph, you might be on mute.
I think it shows that Ralph doesn't have a microphone.
The town doesn't have a virtual meeting. Well, it looks like Hope is unmuted, so you want to just continue left off?
I don't think it's working.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can? Okay, great. So at any rate, to my amazement, others rallied around my idea. So we had students from Tuskegee, as well as a student from the University of Maryland who was faculty at Johns Hopkins University to participate on the team. And of course, our own UAB student and one of our professors in geriatrics who's a biostatistician. So it was a great opportunity for team science, my first experience for team science. And what Dr. Leong noted was that I sure had come a long way as a trainee to be leading a team. So it was really nice having done the training with Alex and Malay over the few weeks prior to the hackathon, because it gave me the opportunity to learn Chiha, GitLab, and RStudio. And then I was able to lead the team, like with the scientists from the other universities, to navigate those spaces, even though I'm not an expert in those in those as of yet. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. And we continue to be working together to not only write about what we studied, but also we're going into another opportunity with AMIA. There's a student design challenge. So we're looking forward to that and preparing for that as we speak.
Great, excited to hear about that. And yeah, even though maybe you were disappointed about the first one, glad you were able to participate in this one. So can we hear from Ralph? Looks like Ralph Zotala, Dr. Ralph Zotala, Head of Research Computing. Looks like your audio is working again.
I think we're back. Can you hear me? So thank you for having me here. And this was a lot of fun for me as well. And for a couple of reasons. One, in research computing, we've been striving to build what we call the research computing platform. It's basically just a suite of cyber infrastructure and services designed to support and facilitate research on campus. And we partner very closely with the Informatics Institute and the U-BRITE team. So we're thrilled that we were able to provide some support. And in return, engaging in this type of activity, we learn a lot about what the research community needs here to support their research. So it's a win-win. And this type of collaboration that happens every day at UAB is why I think this is such an exciting place to be. And then specifically the U-BRITE, in a previous institution, I had the, I guess I'll call it pleasure of probably deploying the first instance of I2B2 outside of Harvard where it was developed. And I learned a lot about, I'll say, the challenges of working with clinical data. And I've heard it in the comments here before that some people were hoping to get access to data, different types of data, et cetera. And it's a real challenge working with clinical data. It's a real challenge getting access to clinical data and understanding it. And for me, I'm just amazed at the breadth and depth of what has been accomplished here at UAB with U-BRITE being able to give people access not only to the technology and the data, but even the panel of experts that are around that can assist and can help. And it's just all really exciting. So I want to congratulate everybody that's involved. Thank you.
Thanks. We're all on the same team, and glad to have your support as well. We'd like to hear from Jason White. He's a student at Tuskegee, and we get a perspective from people who are outside of UAB, and that how the hackathon went.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I guess I guess I can speak for our whole team. We really enjoyed it. It was an opportunity for us to kind of flesh out some ideas that we already had before we knew about the hackathon. It kind of fell flat. You can recall our project was specifically looking at using gene expression data along looking at racial disparities in COVID. And that is, as we've already mentioned an endless number of times, it's just hard to find the data you need to answer the questions that you have. But this particular opportunity gave us a chance to kind of drop other things and focus on it, and we were actually successfully able to find some data that we could use to go towards that. So we really appreciated the opportunity. And as it stands, we've had an opportunity to work with CCTS before and a number of collaborators, UAB, and it's always helpful to have that expertise and to have an opportunity to get at resources that we wouldn't otherwise have. But in this particular instance, it was also helpful just to have a time, just an opportunity to set aside time, because it seems like even though we're distant from our labs and distance from our institutions, I guess technically in quarantine, so to speak, you would think you'd have time, but you really don't. It's always filled with something else. So it was nice to have an activity that kind of made us focus in on it. And we actually came away with a product that we can continue to work on and flesh out and actually move forward with to publish, which is what we're working on now. So I'll thank everybody at the hackathon that helped organize it, everybody on our team, whether it's Tuskegee or Wisconsin or UAB with Manga and Clark. And, just thank you to everybody. And we look forward to participating again next year.
That, we can collaborate with people outside of UAB, not only people within our walls. And last but not least, I'd like to hear from Gargi Amala. She, from the perspective of a clinician who's not a technical person, and I'm also a clinician, not a technical person. But you don't have to be a computer programmer to participate in the hackathon.
Hi, thanks, Dr. Wang, for asking me to share my thoughts. So yeah, as she has mentioned, I'm a clinician, but I'm a PhD student in epidemiology. So I do coding, which is essentially just SAS coding, which means nothing outside of the project. And for our project, I really like the idea that I could work with people who are not in public health, but still move forward an idea of public health. And it was very interesting how we could bring together skills from different areas. Like one person of our team worked on data visualization. One person was an expert in Python, and other person was, Dr. Raju was a machine learning expert who actually had the interest to call me in, even though I had no idea of the hackathon. So he was the one who brought me in saying that, Gargi, I know we talked about this idea long ago. Why don't we use that as our foundation for the hackathon? And I was so happy that we had this opportunity. I was late registering, and it was stressful, but definitely rewarding. Very stressful 48 hours, which ended up giving a lot of joy towards the end of it. So I should appreciate the organizers for allowing us to explore this kind of a skill of collaborating with people who have nothing in common, but yet come up with a successful product. Thank you.
Well, thanks for your wonderful comments. Yeah, I want to mention that a lot of people signed up, and a lot of people actually were not able to make it. And we thought, hey, this is so important. And what happened? Want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to participate. So we actually reached out to people at the end of the first day who did not sign in or signed in and then left early and asked them what happened and whether there was a reason. And we invited them to rejoin for the second day. So a few people did, in fact, do that. So we really wanted to make it as inclusive as possible, and even having people contribute for just a short time. So without further ado, I'd like to, I want to also mention that our videos are posted on the website. I don't know if the uploading there is completely finished, but so if you missed the showcase and want to hear these wonderful presentations, they are available. So without further ado, I will get into the presentation of awards, which is just the reason that we're here. Dr. Jim Cimino and the Informatics Institute graciously have agreed to fund the awards. So it'll be, so it's 3 awards, first, second, and third prize, and each one will receive $200. And I know that may not seem like much if you're splitting that among team members, but It's good to recognize everybody's work. It was very competitive. There are a lot of really great projects, and the scores are actually the differences are very kind of like the Olympics, where you know that 0.1 or 0.01 can make a big difference. But we're celebrating all of our projects that we had. So the third prize goes to Team 4, who had the COVID-19 risk predictor. And I think we're not going to actually give you something because it's all going to be virtual. And so if you could come up and we would applaud for you. Okay, second prize goes to Team 6. And so we would like to recognize your team that you win second prize. Congratulations. And first prize goes to Team 10, Curtis Hendrickson, novel to global, going from local patient sample to global strain source. Congratulations. I'd like to acknowledge all of the help that we had in, oops, that was an old slide. I'd like to acknowledge all the help that we had in planning. So Jake Chen was the executive director. I chaired the steering committee, and all the members helped to plan and give me feedback and make things better. So including all the members of the steering committee are myself, Jake Chen, Jaylai Wang, Jennifer Croker from CCTS, Diane, Ralph Sotola, and Joel Berry. Also I want to have a shout out to Jaylai Wang. He's not here. He's actually on vacation, but he was really the center person, the point person for anything technical and U-BRITE. And also Matt Wyatt, who was helpful in helping people with access to data. Heather Watts did all of our publicity and helping with our website and our social media. And Nafisa Ayala also helped a lot with the website and getting everything that we generated onto the website. And Amanda Carballo helped a lot with our logistics and announcements and everything. Our expert panelists, I want to shout out to them for being available to answer questions, and also our judges who had to have they had to watch every presentation. Some of them couldn't make it, so they watched the recordings, and then they were able to render a decision. And also, of course, the Informatics Institute and the CCTS for sponsoring everything. That's all the slides I have. I see some chats. Yes, congratulations to all the winning teams. I agree.
Hey, Curtis, can I borrow $5?
Yeah, don't spend it all in one place. Okay, so finally, let me stop sharing, and so we can see each other as we would be all together.
So Amy, can I just make one suggestion? We shouldn't let the winning teams off the hook yet. So I wonder if we can ask the winning team to share their secret sauce.
Yeah, sure. In the spirit of sharing. So I don't know if if any of the teams want to share. I see Curtis kind of grinning there, so I don't know if he has something to share.
I mean, there's no secret sauce, as everybody else has said. It's having everybody putting in the energy to make this event happen that gives us the opportunity to do something interesting and special, because it gives us all these resources that we have access to, the mentors and the infrastructure, and then giving us a chunk of time to work together. And that makes a huge difference to moving projects forward. So it's not our special sauce. It's the fact that everybody at the institution works so hard to create this space for us to flourish in. So it's not anything special we did. It's everything you guys did to support us.
Oh, you're so modest, but thank you for the acknowledgement. Anybody else want to share before we're just about at the end of our time? Well, if not, then thank you everybody for participating. I really appreciate everybody's hard work and contributions, both the organizers, mentors, experts, panelists, and judges, and also the participants, of course, and teams. So let this not be the end of it. Take what you've produced and learned and continue to develop your ideas for future research as we just keep learning. And we hope to see you at the next hackathon. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.